Welcome all us listeners. This podcast has no name, and because we have no name, we do whatever we want. To do whatever we want to do. To do whatever we want to do. To do whatever we want to do. Welcome all us. Welcome all us. Welcome all us listeners. Because we have no name to do. Because we have no name to because we have no name to do whatever we want to do. Welcome all us listeners. This is a podcast has no name, and because we have no name, we can do whatever we want to do. So this episode is going to be a season recap for the wonderful show Mr. Robot, written by directed by Sam Esmail, right? And I'm Curly Castro, and I have a wonderful guest with me today. Introduce yourself, sir.
My name is Zilla Rocca, and I'm Curly Castro's best friend, and no one denies this.
Yes, but if anybody has any empirical evidence to show us otherwise, we're interested in that debate. So,
damn straight.
I got my man Zilla here, Castro. We are Mr. Robot enthusiasts, listeners.
Yep. So
we have dived headfirst into Mr. Robot. In fact, our friendship has come to a head because of season 2.
Yeah, we had difficult. It was a difficult time in our friendship. It really tested us.
So now we're back at it. We're back to best buddies. All right, and now we're going to be talking about season 3. All right, a quick rundown of Mr. Robot. It's a show about a hacker with personality issues. Can we say that's succinct, right? We can say that.
Well, the way I've always said it is basically what if Fight Club didn't end?
Great, thank you. I like that line.
That's
what if Fight Club didn't end? Yes.
Right.
So when you go into Mr. Robot, you have to think of an unreliable narrator. So
and the main character having a Tyler Durden-esque alter ego that's pushing him to do things he typically wouldn't do.
Let's do this, Z. Let's do a quick summary of each major character. All right?
All right.
So I'll just start from the top. I got a list there. So let's just go with Elliot, our main character. What do you think of Elliot this season?
This year they gave him purpose again, because last year was just being lost in the mind of a crazy person for like 5 hours, where this season
But last season was necessary, and it was a great season.
We're going to do this. Well, I disagree, but however, season 3 was, it was more...
We'll revisit that, but
Elliot he's now aware of his disorder, I guess you want to say it, fully, and trying to come to grips with it and trying to get some type of control, and realizing that his grand plan from season 1 and 2 to hack the planet, shout out to hackers, to hack the planet of E-Core and shut down all wealth inequalities and all that stuff and bankrupt all the major corporations, it didn't go out as planned. And now, because like you always think, like when you're going to shut something down, now you have to put something in its place. And what's in its place is potentially something way more sinister. So he's realizing that this year there's some responsibility, and that things actually weren't as bad as he thought at the beginning of season 1 and then beginning of season 2. So it was cool where he kind of matured a bit and got more stability in his own mind about what his purpose is and how he struggles with his personalities.
Yes, indeed. I totally agree. Yeah, so my observance of Elliot is, you know me, because I valued all the seasons. Me and Z will go over last season a little quick just to show you where we parted ways. But I feel like this season, Elliot has been his strongest character, because it wasn't just his skills computer-wise and his skills in espionage. He was actually reining himself in and actually controlling his life for once, and not being split down the middle or not being misled by his imaginary friends / alternating personality that we didn't know was real or fake when we first started the show. And so I feel like now Elliot is actually, this is a season about control and feeling out of control, losing control, and regaining that control. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
All right, next up we have Darlene. I'll start that one, Z. Darlene, I felt like was very compromised this season, but in a good way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like past seasons she might have been a little bit directionless, like just like hamster in the wheel. Like, I'm just gonna keep running to do stuff.
Right.
I feel like Darlene did a little bit of that. This season she was compromised. As people that watch the show know, she was under FBI surveillance, and then she turned into a what do they call them, a CT? CWCI?
Snitch. Snitch. We know snitch. The street term snitch.
She's a snitch.
She is a snitch.
Snitches. Right. And but I feel Zia gave her a little bit of direction this season, and also I think she had to come to grips with her brother, like her familial issues that she has with her brother and her. And I think some of those things came to the forefront. You got anything on Darlene?
I think with Darlene's interesting because she's like this really like aggressive, like says what's on her mind, like very direct person, and this season she was like stripped down to being like, yo, she has nobody. She has no boyfriend. She has no friends. Right. Her brother, she's snitching on him to the feds, and she realizes obviously that he's not the most stable person. Right. So like this year was more just Darlene feeling like, well, what do I even do? Like, what is my life? Like, I'm a part of this big thing that threw the world in its ass, and that sucks. So what did I get out of all this? And like, she literally has nothing. So that made the FBI thing a little appealing.
Well, we'll get to it before we finish this episode. But there is something she says at the end to Elliot that I think defines her purpose a little bit. But I'm not going to forget. We'll get to it.
All right.
Cool. Now we get to the elephant in the room, Mr. Robot. Can you tell the audience about Mr. Robot a little bit?
Man.
This season, it's Mr. Robot.
You have to really, like, where do you place Mr. Robot in the Christian Slater canon of characters?
I think
like
I want a little bit. Yeah, I want a couple more seasons. But funny enough, because this is good that you brought that up. So they're remaking Heathers, which is absolutely one of my favorite. Yes,
can't remake Heathers.
I know exactly. It's a trailer. It's modern. It's like different colors. It's not 80s high school where a suicide pact makes sense. So anyway, but just to answer your question. It's up there. I want a couple more seasons so we can have a nice little pop.
Would you put it above like Pump Up the Volume?
Okay, now that's a tricky one because that's a favorite. But isn't this his first foray into TV, Christian Slater?
He might have did like some like random like
little spot stuff, but like as a recurring role,
stuff.
Going from season to season, this is his first time a recurring role.
I mean, like, and it's like a major. Yeah, he probably did something like early 2000s or something.
But with that being the case, I would put it up there above Pump Up the Volume because I feel like he's conquering another avenue. We're big Slater fans. Like I said, we can go all the way back to Heathers, late 80s. And
Cuffs.
The fact
I'm a Cuffs guy, early 90s.
Oh yeah,
George
Cuffs.
Cuffs.
The fact that he's able to what I like this season about Christian Slater, and I'm going to get into the Mr. Robot character, is he's playing Mr. Robot and Alderson and the father. He's not playing Christian Slater, who is Mr. Robot. You know what I'm saying? He's abandoned some of those Christian Slater tropes, and I feel like he's really carved out a role.
Well, I think now, he literally the Christian Slater trope back in the day was like him just being Jack Nicholson, but a younger version.
Right, yeah.
Where he would talk like this all the time and like flick his hair back.
And his eyes, like almost closed.
Now like he's just like a disheveled, like yelling crazy person. He just yells a lot. And it's always like, that's not gonna work. We don't work this. And he talks like in like cryptic, like confident cryptic, like hacker talk where he's like let's get into
Mr. Robot then. So Mr. Robot is Elliot's alter ego, and it's also Elliot, right? It's like his better self, like Zilla said earlier. It's with Fight Club.
Tyler Durden.
Right. It's Tyler Durden.
What if Tyler Durden was the narrator's dad? We never knew that in Fight Club. See what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because they
we don't know that.
Dad.
Yeah,
we don't know who Tyler Durden is.
Right, and they mentioned
we know
him
who
and
Mr.
the dad.
Robot is. Right.
And it was funny because when Tyler and when the narrator were talking about their dad, if we paid attention, we probably could have caught that they were talking about the same person, but just different ways.
Exactly. When he says
you know what I'm saying?
Like same here. He's like, they keep
agreeing
with each other.
Right.
Right. So we only know Mr. Robot is Elliot's dad because we've had like 30 hours of these characters, whereas Fight Club, like 2 hours, 20 years ago. But
I mean, Christian, he does do a difference, but he does do a difference where he's Elliot, or he's Mr. Orlison, Elliot's dad, because there's flashbacks to that, and then we have Mr. Robot, which is actually a piece of Elliot. So this season, it was as far as Mr. Robot goes, it was a dichotomy. We didn't see him a lot this season, and they weren't talking. And they were actually at odds. So that was very interesting to make them at odds and to make them on either side of the coin. They weren't interacting. They were leaving notes for each other and stuff. So I thought that was very interesting to play him like that. And also, this season, though, which is really good, Z, is Mr. Robot was Elliot. So what I'm saying is, to the listeners, so there's times where Mr. Robot is Elliot, but they were showing people interacting with Mr. Robot. But as a viewer, you have to remember that's Elliot, right? He's just in the Mr. Robot persona. And they were doing that a bunch this season. Something they didn't do before. And even the actors said on some of the behind the scenes was like, it's funny because you have to, Christian Slater is Elliot. You know what I'm saying? So you got to like look at him like he's Elliot, but he's in this persona. So I thought that was really clever. And also it gave, and I was talking about some actors watching them talk, they were saying that it gave them a chance to actually do scenes with Rami, to do scenes with Christian, because they might not have had scenes with them, depending on if they were in, Rami's wake moments or if they were in Mr. Robot at night and stuff like that. All right, let's keep this rolling. Here's your girl. I'll leave this one up to you. Agent Dom. What did you think of
Dom? Oh, God, I love Dom.
That's a girl.
So last year she pops up. She's kind of like a one-note, like workaholic, brainiac, FBI agent. And then this year, because like last year she's brand new to everything. She's like picking up on the stuff little by little. And then this year she's like totally aware of the bigger picture of White Rose and the hack and Darlene and Elliot and then the other hackers that were part of F Society. Like she knows everything. And so we're past like spending all personal time with her to figure out who she is. And now it's just like, how is she going to either catch all these people or like align with Darlene and Elliot to stop the larger threats of the Black Army? So like she's kind of like always in the balance of like doing the right thing, but like you're rooting for her to rock with Elliot and Darlene rather than straight-laced FBI, federal government stuff. So like she's just so dope. Like I love her. She's not like anybody else.
We also, at a podcast has no name, we also have the Punisher show in the queue. We're going to review that. And it's funny because the Punisher has an agent that's god-awful.
Terrible.
And compared to Dom, it's really like night and day. So all your listeners, stay tuned for if the Punisher might be published before this one. And if we did, just notice the difference between, what's her name in Punisher?
I don't know. She's useless. She's trash. I literally just like pick my phone up and start scrolling through my phone anytime I see her on the screen. I'm like, I don't care. Whereas Dom, I get excited when that's all you need to know. Like if you start checking your phone when certain people are on screen, they shouldn't be on the show.
Yeah. And that's funny. So all right. But that was good. I don't even have much to add. I like Dom. I like that she's putting things together, but she also seems like between a rock and a hard place as we start the season. Like she seemed as the season progressed, she seems more and more handcuffed. Yeah, and limited. Like we don't know it. We're going to talk about it in a couple of minutes, but we don't know. She always thinks something's in my way, and I got to figure out what it is. And it won't leave her alone. She's not going to be the dutiful soldier and just goes along with it. She has to figure out what's in her way. All right, next up we have Angela.
Crazy ass Angela.
Okay, so for all y'all listeners, Angela wasn't this crazy the season 1 and 2, but she definitely went off the edge, and it was something that happened to her in season 2 that led her to having I think she's the most drastically changed character.
Right. Because I said to you, like from the beginning, she was just a very like basic chick. Like she just had a job and like had a boyfriend who was a clown, and like just had an apartment, and she really didn't have any grand designs. She just happened to be friends with like the weirdest hackers ever, in Darlene and Elliot. But like beyond that, she had no greater scheme of doing anything besides like having a job. And then once she got thrust into this world last season, then she started, changing her posture. And
remember, Elliot was trying to keep her out of. Elliot was trying to keep her separated out of it until she had to go get defense herself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but you know what? She was dragged in by the boyfriend. Yeah, but she was dragged in by the boyfriend in Price. So put them two together, and she was going to be a part of this game. But at first, you're right.
That was
very
never her intention. That's not.
No.
She didn't do this on her own choosing. She was pulled in.
Yeah. No. She was.
So then by the end of this year,
but she's the most. I'm not. You know what? I don't want to say she's the most affected, but I'm thinking she was the most drastically affected in a temporary sense because she comes back around as the season progresses. But
yeah, like she's like playing dress up. Like she's always like point. She'll wear like she wears like more assertive clothes and like always like whites and blacks and then falls in love. She gets seduced by White Rose, this idea like they're going to change the past. I don't know. But then when she has to really play that game and get in bed with them and do grimy stuff, and like she's not prepared for the real consequences. Because again, she just never. It would be like in a movie Hackers from back in the day, like some like random dude. It's like, oh, I think I'll be a hacker today, versus like the people that were like in it all day, like that's all they know, that's all they want to do.
Right.
They have a whole contingency for everything. They're only friends with other hackers. You know what I mean? So it's like that's where she is. Like she's not in that community.
No,
she's like easily.
She
like
gets a crash course.
Played.
She definitely gets a crash course like into it, and she definitely starts being more active, but. That wasn't her world. She didn't come up with Elliot learning computers from her dad or Darlene learning computers from her dad, and so she definitely was an outsider looking in. So, but I think she's had the most elliptical arc. Like she seems like she's doing an orbit. You know what I mean? Like she came real close to the sun, and now she's being flung out, and now she seems like she's coming back to the planet to some type of rooting. I mean, it's painful what happens to her, but. I think it was necessary because I think we'll see an even more galvanized character next season with the new information we get from her. All right. Next up, we got your favorite, our favorite, the world's favorite woman, White Rose.
B.D. Wong.
B.D. Wong. All right. First of all, I want to say B.D. Wong is amazing. I really just have to. He's incredible. He's an asset, a cultural asset, and they need to protect him. Because, I mean, just to do this role. So White Rose, I want to explain to the listeners real quick, is at first you think it's a cross-dresser, but you have to realize White Rose is a girl who wears a man suit, like literally, like puts on a whole man persona just to interact in the world, but mostly is a woman. And it took us a little while. It took me a little while watching the show to take that perspective, to flip it, because I'm thinking that it's a man who in his private moments wants to dress up. It's actually the opposite. It's a woman who, in her public business moments, dresses down into the man persona. I think we got a lot of White Rose this season, though. Is this the most White Rose? Yes. This is the most White Rose we got. Big time. Took some of the mystery out, but just when I think this season, and it's the one thing I'll say about it, and we can move forward, I think we thought we knew White Rose a little bit more, and we didn't. I'll say it like that. I thought we were getting some familiarity, some looking behind the green curtain, like, you know what I'm saying, the Wizard of Oz type shit. And I think we pulled back the curtain, and it was even more wizards. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like going to the Wizard of Oz, pulling back the curtain, and seeing 1,000 wizards at typewriters.
Right, but you also saw like the motivation for White Rose is like, wow, petty. Like she just petty does
and,
things.
Let's say fantastical, because the thing she believes in seems a little fantastic. It's the elephant in the room, time travel. We think that she's working on time travel. I like that the show didn't go all the way there, but she's ruthless. She's a very effective villain, and she's petty. One of our good friends, Uncommon NASA, made a song called Generosity, and the hook is a B.D. Wong line. And it's, don't mistake my generosity for generosity.
Yeah.
It's a perfect line. It describes her to a T. All right. You can take this one, Z. Your man Price? Yes.
Price, he was in the background this year. He didn't but it was dope because when they pulled him out the gate, like, you know, he's like a typical like white collar, baby boomer, trillionaire dude. And you early on in the series you look at him as like the epitome of like corporate greed and wealth. And then
he was
by
a
the end of
living,
this
breathing
season, but he was like a G about it. Like everything he did, like the way he talked and moved and was dope. But then you start seeing, like, you start sympathizing for him and pulling for him to get back at White Rose, which is bizarre because the whole time you always think like he's the guy they're going after. And he represents everything that they wanted to destroy with their hack. But he comes off the bench like at the very end. I like Price. I like the way he speaks. He just kind of feels like he's seen it all. He's like, nothing really phases.
I've come around on Price too, and it took me a while because like you're saying, he definitely was the embodiment of Evil Corp. He was, after they got rid of the other guy, it was Price. But like you're saying, there are some redeeming qualities, and he's played the background, so I think we could humanize Price. He took the big hit with the buildings. He took a big hit from White Rose himself. He has a big revelation that we'll get to with Angela. You know what I'm saying? And he was kind of laid bare. If he took a big hit. So I think he had to be a little more human this season. Hence the revelations that come a little later.
Wow.
Okay. Let's keep moving. Oh, now, let's both take these last two. Let's talk about them in conjunction. Tyrell, Wellick, and Irvin.
All right.
Okay. So
Wellick.
I'll start. Wellick.
Are you on Wellick? I'll do Irvin. Irvin's my boy.
Okay, I got Wellick. So Wellick, listeners, which is very so you don't mind me, I'm just addressing those. What's funny about Wellick is he was such a missing part of seasons past after being a big part of season 1. So he was missing season 2. Nobody knew who he was. Elliot woke up in his truck. It was a big mystery. This season we find out where he was and what he was up to. So he wasn't just missing. He was also pretty much mapping out and executing the nervous system for a lot of these plans that they put into motion this season. So one, I thought he was, I got to give him credit for being way more adept and capable. Because last season they showed him with the shooting Elliot and I love you and we're guys. So he seemed a little delusional. I didn't know he was this capable. I forgot because we had a whole season without him. But if you remember season 1 and you bring this all, he's very capable. He's a very, very effective heat-seeking missile. He just needs a guidance system. So first it was his wife, then it was like E-Corp, and now it was Elliot, and now it's like Irvin. So you could say Irvin. So tell us about
all right. Man. So Irvin, my man Bobby Cannavale. So he, on the surface, like when he was cast, I was like, how the hell is this guy? He's like very debonair, and he's like, he always plays kind of like a tough guy type of dude who's like very macho and very kind of like loud, and that's just always kind of been the parts that they cast him for. Where he plays this dude Irvin, who's got like this like friggin' Johnny Suede pompadour haircut with like this cheese ball like mustache and like these like 80s accountant glasses, and like always wears like a tie with like some like corny shirt. And he's like the day-to-day goon, like handling BI for White Rose, and he was like playing against type. Like he just kind of knew everything that was going to happen before it was going to happen, and he was like very casual about everything. He was like very charismatic, while he's orchestrating like severe hacking from like major people in different countries that are trying to wipe out each other's currencies. And it was weird, like how he's like this dude in the middle of it. He's like totally comfortable the whole time. He's just like, oh yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Okay, like stealing cars or like chopping people up with an axe. Like he was just like, yeah, okay, I'm Irvin. All right. Like dude was just comfortable. He just likes being Irving, that dude.
I thought he was a great character. And I thought he was a great character also to be brought in season 3. He's brand new for us. You know what I'm saying? And but he comes in, he's a fixer, right? He's a fixer.
Yeah. There you go. Yep.
Basically a fixer. Okay. That was good. Well, another little side character is Leon, Trenton and Mobley. These people will have like little bit parts within the season, but they're more functions of each episode rather than they're in the whole season.
Right.
So let's run into it. Okay, backstory real quick. I'll adjust this question. Do we love how it's turning out? All right. Do we love the stuff we're getting revealed? Let's talk about that. Like, now we're in season 3. He's a more reliable narrator. We're finding out what really happened to him when he was young with his actual father. Do you feel like that's helping you fill in some blanks as far as Elliot? Because, again, he misremembers his own history. Do you feel like it's helpful? The revelation.
I mean, I think they're just kind of done with screwing around with Elliot after all this time, and now it's like the nitty gritty. Like, what are you about? So at the very beginning of the show, he was like this Robin Hood where he would like hack people and see them doing like perverted stuff or screwing around people's lives, and he would like set them up with the police and then bust them. And then he becomes like this over-righteous hacker who wants a revolution. And now he's like at a point where like, okay, all that's over and everything's messed up still, and nothing's changed really for him. Like he's still by himself. He still struggles with his identity and mental health and whatever. So I think he's more, and now he's a purpose for good again. It's like the first season was like, the beginning of the first season was like I said, some Robin Hood, so you're rooting for him.
Mm-hmm.
And so this year, like you're rooting for him again because he's realizing like he's responsible. He was like a puppet for more ruthless and powerful people, but now he's the only one really capable of getting back at them because he's like a highly, highly talented hacker. So like you're also in awe of his abilities, like to navigate all these things. And then he has Mr. Robot as like his spirit animal to push him through things that he really can't handle on his own. So it's dope. Like I don't think he's not unreliable anymore. Like there's little moments here and there where you're wondering what just happened, but they're going past the cliffhangers of the show early on. Now like we're settled in. Like this is who he is. This is what he does.
Right.
So now it's
but
like,
also
okay,
we're getting the revelations of So all right, let's just dive into it. So Darlene this season, right? Mm-hmm. She said something really poignant to Elliot at the end. So Elliot has memory spells. He doesn't remember things. That's a byproduct of Mr. Robot popping in and just his fractured childhood that has affected his mind.
Right.
Darlene says, "I'm here to remember for you for the stuff you don't remember." And I thought that was really poignant because that means she was permanently placing herself in his life, not to pop in and out for his memories to affect their relationship. I'm here to help you remember. I thought that was really poignant, and it was dope between the two. And also considering how they kind of split off this season, her being an informant and being on the run, and then coming back together at the end there. So
that was cool. A good point.
What is overt theme? Let's get to that at the end. Like a summary of like what do we think of the show. So let's pull that to the end. So let's go into plots. What did you think of the plots this year?
All right. This year,
let's talk about what was the major plot this year?
This year was more like I said, like the real after effects of like what if there was a revolution.
Yes.
Yeah. And so like that's why I said Mr. Robot's always a continuation of Fight Club, because at the end of Fight Club, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it 20 years now, they blow up all the credit card companies and give regular people a chance to start out with no debt. But Mr. Robot's like, okay, now what would happen? Like what would happen with that vacuum of finance and debt and money being gone by like powerful corporations? Mm-hmm. So Mr. Robot has been, and they show like kind of this post-apocalyptic, like day-to-day functioning New York where there's like tents and curfews and soldiers with like assault rifles everywhere, but like people are still doing their thing. Like they're still like going to bodegas and like listening to music and like doing their day. It's just like their life.
Figuring out their way.
Right. Like the power grid, they're trying to get that back on track and like stuff like that. People are still driving cars and doing whatever and on the internet. So now it's like, okay, now they're really settled into this world where, like you said, it's trying to get itself back on track. But again, who's filling the void of power and wealth and institutions? So now that's like, this year is like, okay, who are they? What are they doing? And then how does Elliot and all the other characters fit? Like, what are their motivations now that these larger powers are trying to take over?
I mean, it's a great insight into, like you said, what happens after the revolution. We have a lot of movies and series that lead us up to these big moments, but we like series that here's a big moment. Now let's deal with the fallout. Hence, The Walking Dead, Kirkman's I Did It. What happens after Day of the Dead, after Dawn of the Dead? Right. And I feel like Mr. Robot is like that too. After the 5/9, and then after the 71 buildings blown up, what society look like? We're not just going to roll the credits like Fight Club. Right. We're gonna dive in and see what happens. And I wrote down a question, Z. We'll come right back to it because I think it's the last question I have. But I did write down a question considering how we're going to how the show wants to move forward and the entities in it. Okay. Me with the plot. I like the plot. Again, I think the plot is always in service of rounding out Elliot. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, like, we went through this whole thing with E-Corp trying to regain control of their systems. They're chasing Elliott. Elliott's chasing them. But also, this is another step in the right direction for Elliott. And I feel like that's always the subplot is Elliott's mental health, mental well-being moving forward. He had a lot more control. Like, he was even able to have a conversation with Mr. Robot at the end that showed, that illustrated that control in episode 10 that he did not have in episodes 1 to 7.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I like that. I like that. So that's going to lead us into our next section. Comparison to the other seasons. Where would you rank this season? We got 3 seasons.
I would rank it. All right, I would rank it like second best after season 1.
Okay.
Season 1.
After season 1.
Season ones are usually the best. Season 1 are usually the greatest, only because people don't know what they're doing yet, so they don't know like what to react to or what they need to give people more of, and it's usually like a really new idea, with fresh faces and stuff like that. So like season 1 was like a quiet bomb that blew up, and then people really caught on to, one of those awards and shit. So it's like season 1 was very electric, and you really didn't know what was going on. And then season 2, let's just take the gloves off and do it. Season 2 is a complete mess.
In your opinion?
Like it's total. Of course, in my opinion, I'm the one saying it. It's a mess.
Right.
It's so gratuitously like.
For anybody that needs to be filled in,
sniffs its own farts.
Season
who will
2
be listening to this now? Who will be listening to this if they
well,
didn't watch
I just want to be succinct. So season 2 had the big rug pulling moment. Season 2 led us to believe that Elliott was in a certain situation at first, and then he wasn't. And that was a big chunk of the season.
Right.
And Zilla
was
like,
a waste of time. It was a waste of time.
He just was very upset. We talked about it.
It didn't need to last 4 to 5 hours.
Okay, I can agree with you.
An hour and 18 minutes. It was so strung out for nothing.
I will agree with you, Z. I'll put season 2 down at the bottom.
It wasn't enjoyable.
To me, season 2 is very similar, and I know you're a big fan of this, to season 2 of The Wire.
The Wire.
When we get to 5 seasons,
like,
when we get to 6, it'll show that's important.
Yeah, but I don't want to rewatch that season.
But
I understand its importance, and it introduces characters.
And season 2 introduced our man, Joey Badass. There'll be no Joey Badass.
It makes me want to potentially listen to his new album, which I haven't even done yet. But I see him on the screen. I'm like, all right, I like him on the show. And he had that one single a couple years ago that reminded me of like "Wicked" by Ice Cube, which was cool.
Oh, and I love his Wave song. It's on Waves. I love that stuff. That's my stuff.
We can go on about Joey Badass.
Yeah, we can. So let's get back to it. Okay, but I will agree with you. Season 3 top. Season 1 top. Season 3 2, and season 2 third.
Third.
But I will tell you this, and we both agree with this. We like the way this series is trending. It's trending upwards. It's finding its footing. We're big fans of Sam Esmail, and we think he's on the right track. I could see the show going 5, 6 seasons. I don't think they should push past that, but I think they can get that 5 and that 6. So,
I mean, ideally, you could lock it up next year and be done with it. I don't know what more you do after this.
Yeah, you can.
But I don't know what you. But then you have to keep creating actually. White Rose wasn't the main villain. It was this person you don't know. We're going to chase them for, the shows do that when, they run out of main villain. They wipe out the main villain early, and then they keep, actually, this was the guy pulling strings. Right. Oh, now we got to, who's he or her? Now we got to go after her for 4 years.
But, see, that's what I like about this season is it gave us a little more White Rose and then just leave her as the mysterious hidden hand in the background. We're actually really getting, don't forget, they made a lot of nice digs at Trump. So the show is not in present day. It's 2 years ago. So there was a lot of innuendo in this season about them manipulating the Trump.
Yeah, they're manipulating
the election.
Yeah. And they're watching his growth.
They're commenting on him. They actually gave him the green light to get him elected. So it's actually it makes me laugh a little bit. We're crying on the inside. And
but it's genius. It's actually, I thought it was distracting at first. But the show's always existed, to kind of channel newsworthy things of culture today. It's when the first season aired, there was a lot of big hacks that were happening. As the first season was, and then between the first and second season, there was more hacks. So it was, and then they would have things with Obama in the first couple seasons. So then this season, it's dope to think that White Rose and these Dark Army and all these other people were putting Trump in a position as a puppet, as an asset, which he is in real life for Vladimir Putin. They're going to put him in place. So then this way they can keep destroying the U.S., which is the home of Ethonggg and Price, and have China dominate and be the world power and be the global leader in, commerce and whatever. So it's kind of played out that way in our time, 2017, and they obviously had advantage points to write it that way. Now. Right.
It's kind of
uncanny, like how that
it fits. Yeah, it fits. Like, it fits like a glove, as funny as it is. Cause we're talking about a shadow organization, and who else would be a puppet for a shadow organization and then this idiot?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it makes a lot of sense for them to plug that in.
It would make sense
was like tongue-in-cheek with it.
To back the worst American in the last 50 years.
Because it helps their agenda.
American, right, who literally cares about nothing. So they're like, oh, yeah, it'd be great. So you keep destroying your own country while we cake off you forever, and then we're the best, and then we give you a ton of money later on, before or after you go to jail. So that's it was cool, like how they kind of, at first I was kind of like, they're really into the Trump stuff. But
right, me too. But I like how it ties in. Okay, so I wrote down a question. So let me give a little background. I mean, so anybody listening should have watched the season. Why
would you listen to this if you haven't watched it?
Yeah, I know. Like, we don't shy away from the spoilers.
What are you, bozo?
What is bozo? So,
yeah, bro.
In this last season, what Elliot eventually ends up doing with the help of Mobley and Trenton, may they rest in peace, he finds a way to decrypt all of the information they encrypted from Ethonggg. And he sent off that decryption key back to like an anonymous Ethonggg employee or email. Mm-hmm. Here's my question to you, Z. Now that they have a way to undo the 5-9, and me and you we're light, we're light, but we're about to get heavy into cryptocurrency. Does it benefit them to go back? Now that's where I'm curious. Does it benefit them to actually use what Elliot gave them to take everything back? Okay. Yeah. Then why do you think so?
All right. Because again, you can't be in a country that is the global leader in culture and commerce and finance and a high GDP. You can't be a citizen of that country and tunnel all of your hatred towards one financial institution and then blow that up at the quiet behest of a foreign power that wants you to do that. Because now, like, as we've seen, like, over the 3 seasons, like, their day-to-day life in New York, like, America is a toilet. Yeah. So people, like, I guess, still have jobs, but it's like it's heavy regulated by the military, and then there's people on the street, and like there is no money, real system.
Right.
And they're trying to wipe out people's entire, like, doing that, like, you're helping another country destroy your country from the inside out.
But you think about it internationally, but you're right. I did not think about that way.
Because it doesn't benefit. Right. It never benefited any U.S. citizen what they did. It didn't. He thought it did because, he was caught up in his head about it. And I agree with a lot of the points he brought up about society.
But in practice and application, as we saw the show us, it didn't.
Right.
Ecoin emerged.
Now, there's other things you can do, like what he should have. Right. Like, he should have thought about a way. And this happens in our planet and our lives right now with, like, the GOP tax bill. That's going to screw all of us that aren't the 1%. He should have thought of a way to punish the extremely, extremely rich people, like, on a case-by-case or group, not, like, the entire institution. So
I know it's TV, but we are only focused on one company. It's not like he took down Dark Army's businesses. He just took down
That's what I'm saying. He didn't mess with them. So, like, they're standing up firm, and then our side, so to speak, has a big black eye. So, but he's the one that did it. So him reversing it, obviously, like, it gives Price more ammunition to right the ship. But Ethonggg and Wellick's now like the CEO or something.
He's the CTO. He's the CTO.
Yeah, he's mega savvy. You know what I mean? Like, he's crazy, but, like, he's also
not going to keep him in check.
So, like, having him on your side is good to protect yourself. And so it's like, it was a lot of, it's like an act of hubris, but I think, you have to reverse it because you're not, like, your country's not going to get better. I
was wondering just on the cryptocurrency, because they control eCoin and it's out there. would it be birthing them going back? But you're definitely correct. I totally agree with you. They have to go back to revert it because it's not like they're living in a utopia right now with the way things are.
Right, because now you're always getting handouts, and now you're always in the bag of some other power.
Always in the red holding, the other powers holding. Yeah. Great. Oh, that's a great point. That was real good, Z. Real good.
You got to do that.
Okay. Rewatchability, and do you recommend the series?
The whole series?
Let's just do this season. This season, and then you can infer on the series. This season, do you think it's rewatchable?
Totally, definitely. There was like the episode, like the
one shot.
The one shot episode, like when then they were in the high rise and like the Occupy when they were blowing everything up, and that was phenomenal.
There was a lot of great cinematography this season.
It's the best shot show on TV for 3 years in a row. Like nothing touches that show on any format.
The music choices is
amazing. The opening credit sequence is always amazing.
The cast is great, and we know all of these people. Portia Doubleday, Rob. We watched them in other shows, but a little bit.
Like Christian Slater was the biggest name, but
it's but
and I also like how dirty, even from the beginning. Like they made like their New York like really dirty.
Yeah, like the aftermath of the revolution, trash in the streets. You have to come up with new trash companies. Like the fact that there's no sanitation company, they've answered that. There's a pile up of garbage, there's people burning stuff because that's what would happen. We don't see any firemen. We see military. We don't see police. We don't see firemen. We see military. So anybody that likes watching good TV and can be quiet and follow a plot, I recommend it. If you do stuff while you're watching TV, I wouldn't recommend it because there's all right, I'll put it like Sam Esmail makes no mistakes. There's nothing coincidental that's going on. If you see a clock with a Mickey Mouse hand on the 3 and the 2, keep that in mind because that comes back later. So I think it's an attention to detail show. Yeah, a lot of Easter eggs. I mean, you still can enjoy it.
Also, and also like the first season, there was so many genuflections to Fight Club. From them using like "Where Is My Mind," the song from the end of Fight Club. They used that, and then the whole, and even like this year when Elliot's like beating himself up in the hallway. That's a big, straight up
callback to Fight Club.
When Tyler Durden, the narrator, like dragging each other around on the security camera shows as one person, or even like Music Soul Child video for Half Crazy. Remember that?
Yes. Yep.
Where he's like drinking by himself, and the bottle just falls.
It's great, but no.
So if you're a fan of Music Soul Child, Half Crazy video.
There you go.
Fight Club. Boom. I mean, the natural extension is a show called Mr. Robot. Bang.
Yes.
You want that. But again, I don't know why you would be listening to this. You wouldn't be like, I've never heard that. I've never seen that show. I should watch, or I should listen to the podcast. They break down in detail 3 years worth of information.
I would not suggest this for any novices. Even if you listen to our episode by now, stop, pause it, go watch the series. Come back, leave a comment and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I would never listen to a podcast about a show I never watched. I would never do that. And I listen to 14,000 podcasts a week. I would never do that. But if you're that weird person, I mean, God bless you. That's bizarre.
All right. Okay, so I want to go back through the character list real quick just to make a reference of where everybody is, and then we can wrap it up. Elliot is galvanized. He at the end of the season, he has a little more control of what's going on. Darlene, I feel like she's reunited with her brother, and that's a good thing. And she's also off, like she's not a CI anymore. Mr. Robot, I think, is more interested in collaborating with Elliot to get the Dark Army back, because Mr. Robot don't take that. You messing with us and embarrassing me and using me to blow up 71 buildings. He's not going to take that sitting down. Dawn has been compromised. She's an agent for the Dark Army now because they killed her superior and made her take her place. Angela realized that Price is her father, and she had a big breakdown. She was in the midst of a breakdown, and then Price had to bring her back from the edge of insanity because she was going crazy. And so I think that was good that reveal helped bring her around and come to grips with that she was very much responsible for those 71 buildings as well. White Rose, I feel like, is empowered, but I feel like she might slip up.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I think she might slip up. I don't think we have to dive too much, but I think she's empowered. She's won. She has a victory right now, but I think there's a slip up in the future. Tyrell Wellick, I think it's what you said. He's very savvy. He was made a puppet head to be CTO of eCorp, but now with the hack being undone and the power going back, I think you'll find out some interesting things between Wellick and Price, because even Price said you're a figurehead, but I think Wellick will take it further than it is. And Irving is on vacation, and we might never see him again.
My man.
I love that dude. All right. So anybody that's watching that's heavy into it like we are, stay tuned. Dive into the next season 4, and a podcast have no name. We'll review that too, and I'll bring back my man Zilla Rocca. That's right now.
I'll be here.
So we thank y'all for listening. This has been a podcast has no name. I'm Curly Castro. I'm signing out.
I'm signing off, Zilla Rocca. I got another call. God bless.
Later, guys. Peace. All right, y'all. That is a podcast has no name. We just finished our season recap of season 3, Mr. Robot, created by Sam Esmail, starring Rami Malek and Christian Slater. I know Ann ain't using none of this shite. Podcast has no name.